Hello. So my story starts, growing up, my buddies and I never really had a hard time getting our hands on alcohol or drugs. Yes, might have been a problem, but we could never really figure out a place to partake. That was, you can't really do it at your parents' house. I don't know why they don't like that. And that all changed my senior year, unfortunately, a little late, when I took an astronomy class. So it was my senior year, as I said, and I had a dilemma to face. And I was sitting in my school counselor's office, and she said, you can either take, I had dropped AP Calculus because I had 0 hours of college credit, and I didn't want to be ambitious then. So she said, you can either take equine science, I've heard there's good-looking girls in there, or you can take astronomy. And I said, well, although I would like to know the teacher and or coach that's teaching equine science, I'm going to take astronomy because that sounds a little more interesting. So it's a few weeks into astronomy, and we've learned the basics, planets, stars, whatever. And we get to our, am I really paying attention? Not really. It's senior year. So we get to our first project, and it's basically, we're going to go over some constellations. Easy enough, right? So we are handed a star chart, and our teacher says, go out, look in the sky, draw what you see, and then you're going to come back and present. And we said, all right, sounds good. So I went home, went to my backyard, looked up, couldn't really see much because the porch lights and the houses were in the way. I was like, this is cool, all right. So I called one of my buddies up. I said, hey, man, I'm going to go out into a random field and look up, try to do an astronomy project. You want to come with me? And he said, yeah, sure, that sounds great. So here we are, driving a couple miles out of town, and we park. We find a nice farmland, it looks pretty secluded. So we park our car, hop the fence, walk into the middle of the field. We have a little run-in with some of the cows, nothing big. And then we're like, oh yeah, let's look at the stars. So we bust out the star chart, and the only thing we know is Orion's belt because of Men in Black. And so we're like, oh yeah, there's 3 stars up there. Okay, yeah, that's Orion's belt. So, and then we start making the rounds of the other constellations, and about after half an hour or so, we call it a night and start walking back to the car. To our surprise, though, as we're walking back, there's a car coming, and we're like, oh, that's kind of strange. Anyway, we've been trespassing this whole time, and a cop pulls up on us and we know this because a spotlight shines right on us. And we had our fair share of run-ins with the cops, but we weren't doing anything wrong, just a little bit of trespassing, that's not a big deal. And so he says, hey, what are you boys doing out here? We're like, nothing. He's like, what do you got in the backpack? And we pull out our star chart. And I said, well, officer, I'm just doing a little astronomy project. I hope there's nothing wrong with that. And he says, let me see that. And so I hand him the star chart, and he looks at it. He's like, okay. Well, you boys stay safe. Get home now. It's a school night. It's like, oh, okay. So he takes off, and me and my buddy just look at each other. We're like, we could have gotten away with it by just carrying around a star chart this whole time. So we get back to school the next day. We're talking to some of our friends, although we don't want to tell too many people. But from that point on, we make sure to bring a star chart everywhere we go. And whenever we see a car pass by, we all huddle up. We grab our imaginary star chart, or real star chart if we have it out, and we look up into the sky. So, yeah, astronomy class probably wasn't what I was supposed to learn, but it sure did come in handy.